Future Proof is sponsored by Concordia Dental Healthcare, expert care you can trust.
Hello and welcome to Future Proof, the business television programme that looks at the merits of emotional intelligence, but also other elements, I think, of deep learning and I think self-reflection and more about being human that helps us future-proof, whether we're business owners, whether we're employees, or indeed students that are facing the world out there. You're watching Sarah Hopwood, and as if you've been following these programmes, sometimes I just, if you like, do teaching programmes talking about the elements of emotional intelligence, but other times I invite guests on board. And I'm utterly delighted to say that today my guest is Jenny Lynne Sessions. You can see me reading her name there because it's not that long ago that we met, but I think you might be interested to know exactly how we met, how all this is unfolded, and how she has ended up in my studio. So I hope that you enjoy the programme. Thank you for joining me, Jenny. It's lovely to have you with me.
Hi, Sarah. It's really exciting to be here.
I know, fantastic. So, Jenny, we only met weeks ago, didn't we? And we with another lady, I want to talk about Camille as well. There were three of us, weren't there? At a business at a business network, and we met, and it was very, very interesting. As we were preparing today, you told me your story. So can you tell me, and we keep it because there's so much I want to get into this programme, kind of succinct, what happened then? You weren't even supposed to be going to this meeting where we met.
Yeah, well, the power of synchronicity really inspires me, and this kind of like happened that morning. So I was in a meeting the day before. I heard someone mention a business breakfast. I got my little feelings like, you've got to prick your ears up here. You're going. I'm like, okay. So next morning I planned to go, couldn't get a ticket, thought, won't go, no, you've got to go. So I went down there, everything fell into place, there was no parking. I helped a guy find a back man because he'd hurt his back. He said, look, let me help you sort the parking out. I'm like, amazing. So everything moved around, so my car was protected for 4 hours while I breakfasted. And I walked in, I hadn't bought the ticket, they said, don't worry, just enjoy the breakfast. And then I felt this kind of, where shall I sit? And there was one table that wasn't cluttered with lots and lots of noise and people and two lovely beings, and I just thought, sit right in the middle. So I sat in the middle, then saw a picture of a feather in my mind. I'm very visual, and just said to the lady on my right, Camille, feathers. And I thought, oh gosh, she's going to think I'm nuts. Never mind. And so she pulled up her trouser leg and she had a feather tattoo on her leg, and I'm like, bingo, we're on track.
It was amazing. I'd actually perched myself up the other end of the table. When everybody was sat down, I realised I was literally nobby no mates.
Yeah.
So I saw you sat at the end of the table, so I moved down, and you can all see, we're quite different as human beings, and to me this is all tied up with future proofing, that we are meant to embrace and get to know people who seem different, and we were all intrigued as to actually the common like mind that the three of us had. So who are you and what do you do?
Well, who am I? That's probably several thousand lifetimes question to answer properly, but in this moment, I'm a creative catalyst for change and transformation, and that's kind of an umbrella term for many different things, from a background of psychotherapy, counselling, shamanic healing, adopted by medicine people, wisdom keepers around the world, which is a big part of my story. And I basically help people become their own medicine, really go inside, find their power, find their treasure, see their treasure, because as I know only too well how hard it is to sometimes honour with the patterns and programs that we come with to see who we truly are, but to connect with those things, become your own power, take your power back, start to really see what you want to vision and how to manifest that vision from a place of heart and head connection, so that coherence is the most important thing, the head, the heart connection. And then when we're in that place of a greater connection, we can be so much more useful in service to the rest of the world, each other, our loved ones, but also thinking more about the planet from an abundant heart space.
And when I think of, artificial intelligence, which we've talked about in the first series, and machine learning, the way that we future-proof is actually being more human, and the way that we empower ourselves to be more human is actually to have a deeper level of understanding, connection and love for ourselves internally.
Totally.
And I know that I said to you the theme of our programme, and can I just say I'm going very goosebumpy at this point.
Yeah, me too.
It is turning trauma into treasure, and there's a very good reason for this, because there was a very serious car accident. When we talked about Jenny's name, she said, actually I'm also known as Gen X. Gen X, there you are then. So can you say more? Why do you talk about turning trauma into treasure? Because I know there's a personal story.
Absolutely. Well, it feels very significant to me because my journey has been about turning my trauma into treasure, so that I have that authentic connection to help other people from a place of really having been to the other side and back again. And I was adopted by a medicine man who was working with the Dalai Lama many years ago, a peacekeeper, which set me on a trail of many amazing things and working with many amazing people. While I was there, they noticed when I sang that energy fields that were broken started to reconnect and brought harmony to the energy system of people. That's a long journey around working with voice, but through that connection with the heart, helping people to come back to their coherence so they can actually hear their own connection with source.
And did you use this yourself
Yes.
in your trauma? So the car accident.
So my car accident, in a nutshell, my car went off a cliff, dropped 60 feet, my spine was shattered, and I bounced 300 metres into an unploughed field inside a bramble hedge in a smoking car. And the first thing I saw was a CD that flew out of my dashboard that had been recorded for me by Pink. And on the CD was written, "You're not dead." Her album was "I'm Not Dead Yet." My friend had miswritten it, so the CD fell out as I hit the ground, knowing my back was broken, and I saw the CD saying, "You're not dead." And I'm like, thank God, but how the hell do I get out of here? But anyway, that journey was really a call for me to love myself enough to bring myself home, because I had a chance to walk out the door. I didn't know how I could face the situation I was in and come back to life at that point. And so that whole journey was really significant. And in the operating theatre, my energy was very low. I wasn't sure if I was going to come back paralysed or not at all. And I knew I had to lift that frequency. So the songs that come through me changed my energy, and I started singing just before the operation, and amazing things happened.
Talk about setting herself up, because we're going into the break now. Jenny, could you please take us into the break with your songs? You have a drum.
This is sometimes known as the shaman's horse. So in this moment, and just a fragment, I'm going to invite you to just take a breath. Wherever you are right now, take a breath, that significant place to come back home to your heart. And I'm going to just allow a song to come through and invite that energy to be of a high vibration, a healing nature. You choose where you'd like to direct that in your life. Is it to do with your health? Is it to do with a loved one? I'm going to connect it in to bring in that energy frequency to serve you guys, me, and also my little dog, who is in hospital currently, been very seriously ill.
Yeah, we'll say more of that in the second half.
So connect with your heart, open and enjoy.
Oh, wanna ciao, hey, wanna ciao, wanna hey, wanna ne wa yo, oh ay ya wane. Hoa chia, ho ta mo kuma yo ma we hai, ayo ayo ayo. And just take a moment to just be in that resonance. Connect with your heart. Take a big breath and remember what an amazing being you are. Fill yourself with light. And give thanks for your beautiful life. Thank you. And it is about being fully present. It's about mindfulness, and I just want to keep it where you've taken us, actually, and just remain aware of your breath and yes, your purpose on this planet, and that you're a very, very valuable human being. and let's just keep being more and more human. EQ, emotional quotient, is better known as emotional intelligence. It is a tangible tool that can sit alongside your services or your product, and it can be taught. Leaders with high EQ have less stress, they're more effective, and they earn more money. There's a great saying, just because we have pains, it does not give us permission to be a pain. I believe that teaching emotional intelligence has a direct impact on your sense of success and your net profits. EQ will empower you and your workforce to drive the change that you want. Change brings transition. EQ can help unpack what's holding you back and speed up that period of transition.
Future Proof is sponsored by Concordia Dental Healthcare, expert care you can trust.
Hello and welcome back to Future Proof, the business television programme, looking at how we can inspire from business owners to employees to, of course, the all-important students and our future generation as to how to future-proof ourselves. And I often talk about emotional intelligence, but I do invite people that bring other just little nuggets of gold to the table that I think all in all help us be better human beings. And so in the first half you heard Jenny sing a spirit song going into the break, and just as she was announcing it, she did actually talk about her dog, and I want to hear a little bit more about that because the theme of this programme is turning trauma into treasure, and she actually is right in the middle of a traumatic time involving her dog. Jenny, thank you for staying with me, and also thank you so much. That spirit song was quite moving, and I think we were right to stay in that moment and keep people, if you like, in that mindful state. But you were, as you announced it, you talked about your dog, and when you arrived you even said to me, I nearly cancelled today because, and can you say more about that? Because actually you turned it on its head and said, yes, I will do the programme because this is what I talk about and I'm actually living it at the moment. Can you say more?
Yeah, you put it really well. I have an amazing heart connection with my dog. She's known as the Jedi Frog Princess, otherwise known as Roxy, a little staff. And yesterday she began hemorrhaging, and she's in hospital on a drip, very, very seriously ill. And I'm not sure which way it's going to go, so I'm on the phone to the vets on my way here, and I'm going to the vets when I leave here. And I realised yesterday how much this totally touches my heart, puts me in that place that is out of connection with myself, where my mind can get overly active, I can let fear in, I can start to feel that lack of grounding, self-doubt, you know what I mean? I'm sure you kind of know.
What
we all
breed
know
is
that.
she?
She's a staffy.
Right, okay.
She's a little orange staff, and she's a healer dog. She works for me as a healer dog. But I really felt like, in honour of her as well as me and the arrangement that we'd had, and my real wish to share with you, that actually we can't be perfect all the time, and we're not perfect, we'll never be perfect. So if we're working from a place of connection in the now, then in a way that's the best it can be.
But also what comes out of this is there's a great well-known saying that you find out the fruits of people, you find out who you really are when you're squeezed.
Yeah.
And often that's either in high trauma or when you're drunk or something like that. That's when the real you comes out.
Totally.
And we try and obviously discipline, if you like, and this programme is real. So I can I say thank you for coming on here. And the other thing too is we talked about the networking, and we talked about when we met Camille, because what happened was, going back to the networking breakfast, was you were sat at the end, I perched myself up the other end, realising I was knobby no mates because no one else was up there, so I then moved down and sat next to you, and Camille was already sat opposite, and the whole breakfast actually we ended up just sitting together, didn't we? You talked about feathers, thinking she'd think you were nut, and then she showed you she actually had a tattoo of a feather, so there was that connection there, and there were
butterflies,
and there were other conversations that were just bizarre. But the reason why feathers are so important, the circle of feathers, a circle of feathers, I know is a Facebook page of yours. Could you say more about that?
Sure. I was in Glastonbury helping somebody work with some difficult energy on their land, and I was singing spirit songs and various other things. And when I'd finished, I was just standing in the resonance of after the song, like you did for a little while, and I heard in my mind something that said, "It's a circle of feathers, not a trail of tears." And I thought, that's a kind of interesting thing. I got goosebumps, so I know that's worth listening to. And basically, I looked down and there was a circle of white feathers around this table, just naturally like that. And I thought, we come here, we all have a trail of tears. And a feather for me is a symbol of spirit. A circle is like community and spirit. So we all come here with a trail of tears, and we work to kind of fine tune that, to get clear, to get our source connection, to be able to become what we come here to do. And I just knew I had to either write a book called A Circle of Feathers or set up a group called A Circle of Feathers, The Power of Community and Spirit, to help people explore creatively, spiritually, in all sorts of different ways, from drumming, authentic voice, working with a talking stick in a circle, working on emotional issues. I take people on journeys with the drum into the imagery that comes up for them when they want to heal things or solve problems, whether that be business-wise or personally-wise.
And you mentioned about writing a book and what have you, but yes. I know, because I know something about you, that is something that isn't particularly easy for you. Do you want to say more about some of your challenges and how you manage them and get round them?
I'm dyslexic, and since the accident, I have certain processing issues that mean that organisation is really difficult. I'm highly intuitive, which is incredible. So my learning is to stay connected and grounded. Then everything comes to me if I surrender and let go and listen to the higher voice. If I get caught in my pattern of feeling not good enough because I'm struggling, because I can't make my head do what I want it to do and sort these things out, then I can go into that place that we struggle from, and I feel horrible. So grounding, self-care, self-love, catching oneself...
catching yourself out?
No, I think it's about self-appreciation as well,
right.
Because we're so critical so quickly, so easily, and rectify, get all those voices in the past up. But really coming back and honouring what we do achieve, what we do, helps come back in the present and to connect in with gratitude, because it's so easy to be not grateful or just take things for granted.
And the other thing that comes to me is, often we're critical because people like perfection, or they're worried about letting themselves down or other people down. And there's a great saying, as human beings, we're wired to mess it up anyway. So if you want to be a perfect human being,
mess it up.
You have to mess it up to be a perfect human. So when you're messing it up, just know, okay, that does make me a human being.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you have a Facebook page. I think you've got your own Facebook page, but you also have a Facebook page, A Circle of Feathers, and there's some information on there.
Yeah.
But you would also like some help with something, wouldn't you? What would you like help with?
Yeah, I would. I'm looking for a magical person with a wonderful heart who might like to share some of the things that I do to help me bring together the different facets of what I do in a way that can really kind of launch itself into the world in a way that I haven't done.
So is this website or?
So it's really kind of like, how can I say it? I'm looking for somebody to work with me, if you like, to bring the book together, workshops, teaching, healing, talking at events, about how you turn trauma to a treasure, about the humanness of ourselves and the most amazing gifts that we carry. So I have a physical, I have an energy comes through me around the healing. And there's so many different aspects to it, but I'm not good at PR, I'm not good at working with the computer. I can vision all sorts of things out there, but technically to translate that into what will bring something into a solid framework, I really struggle with, and I've struggled with it so long, and I suddenly thought, how stupid, what's my block about asking for help?
Which is what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you so much for coming on board. It's been fantastic having you, but we do have, I think, another couple of minutes, and I'd like to say, from the future-proofing point of view, what are your words, first of all, of encouragement to somebody in order to future-proof yourself, try and develop or be or whatever, so that some of those recommendations, so that's one thing. So what do you need in your toolbox? And then, if you want to go straight into it, if not, I'll ask you again, can you advise somebody who's in a really traumatic state at the moment, and how can they turn their trauma into a treasure? So first of all, what do we need in our toolbox to future-proof?
Presence. So that willingness to connect with your breath. You know, the breath is our anchor, really, and it's like when we're up here, it all gets stuck up here and the head goes very monkey mind. And I would say, first off, so simple. You can do a breath, which is you breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and you breathe out for 8. And it's really important that the out breath is longer, and that will bring you back into a state of coherence. If you start to bring your mind back to focus on your breath while you're doing that, thoughts will come, but just watch them come and let them go. Don't follow them. Just go, oh, okay, go back later to that. Come back to that center point. If you have a candle's a great thing, lovely connection. Focus your breath, your eyes on the candle, gently open your mouth, sit in a posture where your spine is straight but comfortable, and try that breath. 5 in and 5 out also is a breath that lets the body know that you're waiting to heal, you're opening to healing.
So if someone's in trauma now, 5 in, 5 out, what do they need to do immediately? Because when I was in trauma, I was saying downstairs, I can't think a minute ahead, yet alone, an hour ahead or what have you. What's only one thing that somebody could do now, just literally 20 seconds, what one thing that they could do different?
I would say connection is the biggest thing. So I would reach out, even if it's difficult, and just hold someone's hand, invite someone to be close with you. If there's a pet or an animal around, just connect with it. A tree, stand by a tree. Allow yourself to imagine your roots going into the ground with that tree, and breathe your energy and the earth energy back up and down, and just rest your back and spine against the tree and know that this is calling you home to your rootedness in your tree, for you to take the next step into self-care, healing and help to support you becoming all that you already are.